My name is Luis Mata. I'm a ADA coordinator for the City of Los Angeles Department of Disability.
Awesome. Can you briefly walk us through your story, how you started and how you got to where you are today? You can include as little or as much detail as you'd like.
Yes, well, my story begins, of course, at my hometown. It's a rural, small city in Texas, and I was one of the first individuals to be infected by polio, and in that era of nobody knew what polio was, and so I was 1 year old when I got it, and then taken to a hospital. And I spent close to 5 years in the hospital. And 3 of those 5 years were in an iron lung because I couldn't breathe on my own. And so I survived that because most children did not survive. So I survived that, and the big issue was when they allowed me to go home. And they allowed me to go home, which caused a big cultural issue with me. I didn't know that it was an issue, but that was the issue, that in the hospital, number one, language was all English. In the hospital, all the amenities about living were there. Now, when they returned me to my family, it was returned to a family that was, I guess you could call us poor, but not really, because we had everything that we needed, because it was a farm. It was, we had all the things that we wanted to eat, and never starving. But there were certain things that the hospital provided that my family, could not provide. And there was, of course, language. It was all Spanish. I didn't understand what they were saying because by that time I was 5 years old, and also they didn't understand me because I was speaking in English, and so there was a big problem there. The other, which for most people, they'd say, well, it's a big deal, grow up. Didn't have bathrooms inside the house. The bathrooms were outside. And and showers outside. It's a farm. And so I grew up like that. And when I was going to start school, that's when the problems began. I knew by that time I was bilingual. It was pretty cool because it took me about a year to learn Spanish. But at the school, my parents wanted to take me to Catholic school. And they did not allow me because they said that if they enrolled me, they were afraid that I would be contagious and infect the other kids with polio. Nobody knew what polio was, and so it was a big disappointment for my family. But what happened is that I was enrolled in an elementary school, and my dad was a janitor, which for him, he was real happy that happened, but for me it wasn't, because he was overly protected. Now, what does that mean? Well, he would, just as an example, he would not let me go and play with the rest of the kids during recess. He would already, by the time recess, he knew when recess was, so he already had a chair with milk and cookies, and you sit there and watch the others do their number. Sometimes I would escape, and go into the merry-go-round and all this stuff. And he was in shock that I had done that, because he thought, well, this kid wearing a brace is gonna get hurt and whatever. But I grew up like that, being kind of, monitored, but everything that I did. But I used to take advantage of it and gotta get mad at him. And one of the incidents was that I ate his lunch because I went to school early and he didn't want me to be messing around with the other kids. So he locked me up in his broom closet as a janitor, and I saw that he had his lunch, so I ate it. So just to get back at him. But anyway, that was all my upbringing in school. The challenges, yes, there were challenges because I wanted to do what the other kids were doing, and most of the instructors wouldn't let me do. I mean, I wanted to play baseball, which I did with my family outside school, but in school they wouldn't let me. I was maybe the only one that I can remember that had a disability, physical disability. All the other kids, I don't remember that much, but they did. But that was a big challenge for me, and so I got more aggressive, and sort of becoming more upset because of that. In junior high and high school, big challenges because of stairs, and there was no, oh, we're gonna help you. There was nothing like that. You have to do it, and it was challenging, and but I made it through all of that. But my freshman year in high school, I think it was like the fourth day of my freshman year, that the principal, the lady that taught accounting, the teacher that taught typing and secretarial stuff, set me down and said, because we realize that you are not going to college, and also because physically you cannot do labor work like the rest of the men in the town. By that he meant Mexican men, And so what happened is that, and then he said, so we have set up a course, a career path for you. And what it is that you're gonna be the best secretary that, that we can train here. You're gonna learn typing, you're gonna learn bookkeeping, and you're gonna learn some advanced accounting. And I didn't know what any of that stuff meant. I mean, I was not interested in it. And I said, okay. Mrs. Atterbury, nice teacher. Mrs. whatever was her typing PA. Oh, nice. Love, there was no problem with them. Never made any racial comments or anything like that. I became the top typist out of all the classes. And I became a good bookkeeper. No mistakes, because you cannot make mistakes when you're, because this was pencil, in bookkeeping. And so I became one of the best bookkeepers. My dad had another idea of a career for me. He said, you are gonna go to college. Don't listen to them. You do whatever they want you to do, but don't listen to them. You're gonna go to college. Then I said, well, how can you afford that? I'm gonna, I can do that. And don't, during the summer, maybe you can help me work. Now, with him, physically and stuff, it didn't bother him. He put me to work. I mean, I learned that I could do things physically that I thought were big challenges, and because of my polio, and so it was interesting. I learned a lot, and then when it came to I graduated from high school and stuff, he he helped me. Well, he pointed the right way for me to go to college, and the entrance fee at that time was $50. Now, $50 was a big money thing, and Department of Rehabilitation invited my dad and I to have a meeting, and he said, your son is not qualified to go to college. We cannot help you. So my dad grabbed his papers and threw them in the trash in front of him and told him, we don't need you. I don't know why you called us here. He paid for everything. Now, my first year in college, they set us up for flunking. They gave me top algebra, geology, French. The reason they gave me a French course was because they felt that if I took Spanish, I would help be at a higher level than the other students. So they didn't let us. So they gave me French. Now, where were they going to use French? I don't know. But anyway, and then the other thing is that I grew up in an area where they, of course, you understand that there was some issue with racism. So what happened is that all the students that were of Mexican ancestry, we were mandated to take speech courses to change our accent. And there was no way around that. So it was 2 semesters of speech that we had to take, because they said that our English had to be like theirs, spoken like theirs. So went through all that stuff. Anyway, so at the end of the year, though, my first year, the rehab counselor came because they sent him a notice from the college saying, what happened to this kid? And he said, well, they sent me a notice, and I recognized that the lowest grade that you got was a B, and then the rest was A's. How did you do that? And my dad said, don't answer that. And then he said, what do you want us here for? I mean, you're asking. Oh, because we want to help you, pay for the rest. And my dad refused it. He says, we don't need you. You did not, he was disabled. He graduated from high school. You didn't want to help him. We don't need your help. First challenge, that was a big challenge for me. I came to California because my dad wanted me to come and live with my brother. It was a big experience for me because I had never been away from home other than the hospital, but I don't remember hardly anything that happened, right? So I came to live with my brother, and The only job that I could get was working in a packing shed, carrying boxes and stuff. And a man saw me doing that, and he said, um, I see you doing that, but you're gonna get hurt if you keep, I know you're disabled. And I said, okay, well, he says, I can get you a job with the school district. I recognize that you've done some interpreting here. And I said, yeah, I speak English and Spanish. So that's where my career actually started, in advocating for the families. But I don't know if you know that what Head Start is, because I was one of the first in that school district to start the Head Start program. Now, mind you, I was 18 years old. I didn't know what I was doing, but they told me, here are the teachers. You have to go recruit children, that are going to start kindergarten next year. And they went, okay. And so these families were all farm worker families. So during that year, I also got to meet some of the farm worker union organizers, and they got me involved in the farm workers union, and I became a volunteer for them. After my job during the day, I would go and volunteer my work. Now that's the other area of my life where I was given training about organizing, assisting people to understand and focus on their needs and so forth and so on, and how to do that under a union auspices, working for not working, but being a member of a union. And that was a farm workers union. And I met Cesar Chavez and his family, and kind of grew into that. And I became an advocate while still working at the school district. And even though the school district didn't like what I was doing, because they would hear me on the radio translating English and Spanish stuff. And I told them I do it at night. I don't do it during my work day. It was a challenge for me, but they also gave me a program. By giving me that, I meant that they asked me to supervise and coordinate this program for high school students that wanted to enroll in college, that were interested in college. And I did that for 1 year, plus a Head Start. The issue, not an issue, but what occurred was that a gentleman from a private school came to see the program because they were interested in it. And he took me to lunch and started talking to me and asked me, where did you graduate from college? And I said, I never graduated. I have 1 year that my dad paid for, but I left, and came here. And he said, are you interested in a 4-year scholarship? And I said, to tell you the truth, I'm very honest. I don't know whether I want to do it or not. And they said, okay, I'm gonna come visit me. Come visit with me the college. And it was Claremont Colleges. And that's where I graduated from Pomona College. Now, there was a big challenge, because I was pitted against students who came from private high schools, and I, I didn't know a third of what they knew already. But they gave me, with help, they gave me tutoring and things like that to help me with the courses. And during that period of time is when the revolution, I guess you want to call it, in the 60s, where students were organizing and students were walking out of high school saying we want more, blah, 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 you know. And so I organized the students on campus because of my knowledge of organizing that I learned from the farm workers. And I did created several departments that are still a part now of the campus of Claremont. All this stuff, I mean, like really helped to develop me as an individual. Then I came to work. I did other jobs that I had, but one of the jobs that really instilled in me what I really wanted to do was when I came to work with the mayor's office for the handicapped under Mayor Tom Bradley. There is where I learned what it is that I wanted to do, and that is to be an advocate for people with disabilities, because I had knowledge of what hurdles they were encountering or had encountered before or were going to encounter. I was there when ADA was created, the Americans Disabilities Act. Did you think that I went outside with balloons? And no, I was filled with sarcasm. That a lot of what I saw was politicians patting themselves on the back, saying, we have it now, the ADA, civil rights for people with disabilities. And I said, okay, I'm gonna sit back and see what it is that this civil rights is. Got involved in it, started to understand a little bit about it. And for a number of years, I didn't feel the pinch. And the pinches didn't feel that what ADA was all about until I started seeing it transforming some people with the access that they got. Not only physical access, but also education, medical, transportation, you name it, and people were being transformed and were being assisted to choose a career that they wanted and be the professionals that are now in our fields right now in different areas. I mean, I saw doctors, nurses that I had never thought that it would happen, but there they are in crutches or wheelchairs or, individuals that might have had issues with limbs that were not fully developed, but their brains and mental capacities were developed and are excellent in their professions. And it's all because I got to give it to ADA. Now, the ADA, the Americans Disabilities Act, is still a work in progress. A lot of people throw it out there and say, "Oh, we have ADA civil rights." We do, but it's still a work in progress. We have a lot more hurdles to overcome. Because instead of individuals supporting us uh, to create a better ADA, they put roadblocks because they don't want either to put their energy or to put the finances behind that in order to create more access, for individuals with disabilities. My whole focus and has been is transportation. I focus on transportation because I feel that we do have some excellent modalities, excellent transportation offerings by different departments, but there's still some barriers that have to be broken through. And I'm telling you that a lot of times it's the humans. It's not the equipment, it's the human people. It's the humans that are creating these barriers. And we gotta work through them.